So why don't you lift up that face mask and give me a kiss?
Did you know MCU's cast members have played lovers in a bunch of other movies? With a sprawling cast that seems to get bigger every day, it's no surprise when actors end up working on other projects. Like that time Aunt May and Tony Stark fell in love in Only You, or Cap and Black Widow became an item in The Nanny Diaries. It's like watching alternate universe fan fiction.
Yeah, I missed your laugh.
I missed you.
Just 1 year before they made their MCU debut, the Maximoff twins played husband and wife in 2014's Godzilla. Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen played Ford and Elle Brody, and even had a kid. You might think transitioning from lovers to siblings would be awkward, but according to Olsen, it actually helped them prepare for their roles in Age of Ultron. We felt like brother and sister making Godzilla, so when you get to work with each other again, you've already established that familiarity, and then you don't have to do those beginning steps again.
Baby, it's a beautiful morning. You look beautiful. We're doing really swell.
Have another drink, Hank.
This biopic about country western singer Hank Williams made an unlikely pair of Loki and Scarlet Witch. Tom Hiddleston and Elizabeth Olsen played Hank and Audrey Williams in the true story of a man who was torn apart by his own fame. It's hardly a happy love story, the relationship between the two crumbling as Hank's personal life deteriorates. Their characters haven't met in the MCU, but there is a connection between the two. Wanda was exposed to Loki's scepter during Hydra's experiments with the Mind Stone. However, with Loki's upcoming Disney Plus show and the introduction of the multiverse, anything's possible. If the two ever meet, there's sure to be some conflict, but they do have at least one thing in common. Neither of them are fans of Thanos.
I'm so sorry. He's not funny. I don't mean to be laughing.
Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson go way back, before the MCU even began. They first met while working together on The Perfect Score in 2004, and that familiarity served them well in The Nanny Diaries 3 years later. The two had great chemistry as Harvard hottie Hayden and Annie the Nanny, and remained close friends in real life. In fact, when Evans was apprehensive about accepting the role of Captain America, it was ScarJo who convinced him he should go for it. Who better to seek advice from than an old friend who was already part of the MCU?
Will you marry me?
Still hungry, babe. I don't know why.
Our next unlikely pair comes from 2015's Creed, a spin-off of the Rocky movies that follows the story of Apollo Creed's son Adonis, who travels to Philadelphia to train with Rocky Balboa himself, following in his father's footsteps. Played by Michael B. Jordan, Adonis sparks a romance with Bianca, played by Tessa Thompson. That's right, Killmonger and Valkyrie. These two never shared the screen in the MCU, but the introduction of the multiverse really does open infinite possibilities. Hey, they already replaced Gamora with an alternate timeline version of herself in Endgame. Why not Eric Stevens? With Asgard's refugees now living on Earth, the two could end up bumping elbows, given the right circumstances.
Okay, I gotta finish this.
Fine.
Before Guardians of the Galaxy, Bradley Cooper and Zoe Saldana were a couple in the 2012 drama The Words. They even dated after meeting on set in 2011, but broke it off after a few months. In the movie, Cooper plays a novelist named Rory, while Saldana plays his girlfriend and eventual wife Dora, in the story of a struggling writer who finds great success publishing a manuscript he found and claimed as his own work. It's very different from the close-knit yet dysfunctional familial bond the two share in the galaxy's greatest band of misfits as Rocket Raccoon and Gamora.
I'm not exactly married, am I?
We're family, aren't we?
Zoe Saldana was also married to Mark Ruffalo in 2014's Infinitely Polar Bear, a film about a bipolar father struggling to raise two girls and rekindle a relationship with his wife following a mental breakdown, all while the mother is working to earn a good living to provide for the family. Hulk and Gamora have never met in the MCU, but we think they would get along. They're both mean and green after all. Funny that they never crossed paths, even with Hulk somehow ending up on the distant planet of Sakaar, but space is pretty big.
There are a lot of other planets in the universe.
Bradley Cooper also shared an on-screen romance with Scarlett Johansson in He's Just Not That Into You. There were even some rumors that they were dating in real life, but if there was anything between them, it was short-lived. In the movie, Cooper plays a married man having an affair with a yoga instructor played by ScarJo, until she becomes tired of being the other woman and breaks things off. In the MCU, Rocket and Black Widow began working together with the other remnants of the Avengers between the events of Infinity War and Endgame. We wish we could have seen what that first meeting was like.
I love you.
Before she became the love of Iron Man's life, Gwyneth Paltrow was in an on-screen romance with Mark Ruffalo in 2003's View from the Top. When the small-town girl Donna finally gets her dream assignment as a flight attendant, it puts a damper on the relationship she developed along the way. Now she's faced with a tough choice in her pursuit of happiness: the man she loves or the career she felt she was destined for. The craziest part is this wasn't the only time Pepper Potts and Bruce Banner were a couple.
I'm Adam.
I'm Phoebe.
Hi, Phoebe.
Paltrow and Ruffalo starred as lovers a second time in the 2012 film Thanks for Sharing. This time, Ruffalo plays a recovering sex addict who's trying to date for the first time since he began his 5-year long road to recovery. While he thinks Paltrow's character Phoebe is perfect for him, he's hesitant to tell her the truth about his history. Pepper and Bruce are close in the MCU, given Bruce's friendship with Tony Stark, but not that close. Bruce and Tony are best bros, with Tony even trusting him enough to open up about everything that happened in Iron Man 3.
Is it me? Is he picking me? Oh, thank you.
Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke played a married couple and their mysterious doppelgangers in 2019's Us, writer-director Jordan Peele's follow-up to his smash hit Get Out. In the MCU, however, Nyong'o and Duke play Nakia and M'Baku, both hailing from Wakanda and heavily involved in the plot of Black Panther. Nakia was T'Challa's love interest, placing her on the opposite side of M'Baku. He starts out as an antagonist, challenging T'Challa for the throne, but later saves his life and offers refuge to his mother. He even ends up helping them fight Killmonger and later Thanos. Now, there's no telling what waits for these characters in Black Panther 2.
So what do you think?
It's kind of sweet, huh?
Back in 1994, Aunt May and Iron Man starred in the rom-com Only You. Faith, played by Marissa Tomei, believes she has found the man she was destined to fall in love with, Damon Bradley, played by Robert Downey Jr. She flies to Venice to track him down just days before her wedding to another man, and the two fall for each other right away. But there's a catch. It turns out his name isn't actually Damon Bradley. While Tony Stark did a little bit of flirting with Aunt May in Civil War, he was probably just trying to charm her so she would let Peter go to Germany. May actually ends up romantically involved with Tony Stark's assistant, Happy, played by Jon Favreau.
Hello? What is it? You look tired.
We have another magical match, this time between Loki and the Ancient One. Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton played lovers in 2013's Only Lovers Left Alive. The movie is a comedic drama about vampires in a relationship that has endured for centuries. The two are polar opposites, Adam being world-weary and depressed, and Eve managing to have an upbeat, optimistic look on life. While the two haven't shared any screen time in the Marvel movies, Loki's time-hopping and Doctor Strange's multiverse adventures could make anything possible, even if both characters are technically dead. Comic book movies are just as wild as their source material, after all. Here's a quick bonus entry for you. Elizabeth Olsen and Josh Brolin, Scarlet Witch and Thanos, were love interests in Spike Lee's remake of the Korean cult classic Old Boy. We aren't going any deeper into that one for reasons that are obvious if you've seen either version of the film.